කියන්නේ අතිගෞරවනීය මහා සංඝයා වහන්සේ වාසනාවන්ත කාරුණික පින්නතුනි අද දින අපේ දහම් පාසලේ දරුදරියන් සඳහා පවත්වනු ලබන ඒ සීල භාවනා වැඩසටහන ආරම්භ කිරීමටයි බලාපොරොත්තු වන්නේ. දහම් පාසලේ ආචාර්ය මණ්ඩලයත් ඒ වගේම දෙමව්පියනොත් බොහෝම කැපවීමකින් යුක්තව අද මේ සිල් වැඩසටහන සංවිධානය කරලා තිබෙනවා. අපි බොහෝම සන්තෝෂ වෙනවා මේ වගේ දරුවන්ට වෙසක් පොහොය නිමිති කරගෙන තමන්ගේ ජීවිතයේ යම්කිසි ආධ්‍යාත්මික සුවයක් ලබා ගැනීමට අවස්ථාව සැලසීම ගැන. ඉතින් අද මේ සියලුම වැඩසටහන අපේ දර්ශන මහත්මයා බොහෝම හොඳට සංවිධානය කරලා තිබෙනවා. ඒ වගේම අපි ඉතින් හැමදාම මේ දෙමව්පියන්ට බණ කියනවා. ඒ වගේම නොයෙක් විදිහේ වැඩසටහන් පවත්වනවා. අද මේ දරුවන්ගේ සිල් වැඩසටහන සඳහා විශේෂයෙන්ම අපි ආරාධනා කළා අපගේ හිතවත් කල්යාණ මිත්‍ර කුසල හාමුදුරුවන් වහන්සේට. උන්වහන්සේ බොහෝම දක්ෂ හාමුදුරුවෝ නමක්. මීට ඉස්සෙල්ලත් මේ විහාරස්ථානයේ පින්කම් වලට වැඩම කරලා තිබෙනවා. උන්වහන්සේ ඊ타මත්ම සිල්වත්, නිහතමානී, ගෞරවනීය හාමුදුරුවන් වහන්සේ නමක්. උන්වහන්සේ මේ විහාරස්ථානයට වැඩවීම අපි හැමදෙනාගේම වාග්යක් කොට සලකන්නට ඕන. ඉතින් සියලුම දෙමව්පියෝ වෙනුවෙනොත්, දරුවන් වෙනුවෙනොත්, දායකයන් වෙනුවෙනොත් උන්වහන්සේ ඊ타මත්ම ආදරයෙන්, ගෞරවයෙන් අපි පිළිගනු ලබනවා. හැමදෙනාම දැන් අද මේ වැඩසටහනට සහභාගී වෙලා උන්වහන්සේ දේශනා කරන ධර්මීය ශ්‍රවණය කරලා යම් දෙයක් එක දෙයක් හෝ තමන්ගේ ජීවිතයට සම්බන්ධ කරගෙන මෙලව ජීවිතයත් පරලොව ජීවිතයත් වාසනාවන්ත කරගන්නට හැමදෙනාම උත්සාහ කරන්නට ඕන. දීර්ඝ වශයෙන් කාරණා කීමට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. මගේ ප්‍රධානම යුතුයකම තමයි විහාරස්ථානයේ වෙනුවෙන් වැඩම කොට වදාළ අති ගෞරවනීය කුසල හාමුදුරුවන් වහන්සේ පිළිගැනීම. ඊ타මත්ම පාදාභිවන්දනී යුක්තව උන්වහන්සේ අපි පිළිගනු ලබනවා. මේ කරන්ට යන සීල භාවනා වැඩසටහනේ බලයෙන් උන්වහන්සේට නිදුක් නිරෝගී සුව චිරජීවනය සැලසේවා කියලා මම ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා. හැමදෙනාම සාදු කියන්න.
Okay. Good morning. Wakey, wakey. Time to wake up. So let's begin with the precepts. What you have in that piece of paper is the 8 precepts. You know most of it, so actually you may not need the piece of paper, but for some of the precepts that you are not familiar with, you may need the paper. So that's why we decided to print it out so you have it with you. It's not just like the regular 5 precepts that you are taking, so we have added 3 more. These 3 are for your convenience to keep your day smooth. Although we may not be spending the whole day here, we will try to stick with these 8 precepts as best as we can. So these will be the reminders for you all. So to begin with, I would ask you to put your palms together like this and then say Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Please repeat after me. Buddhaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi. Dhammaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi. Sanghaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Dhammaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Sanghaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi. Let's do this in English. Homage to him. Please repeat after me. The exalted one, the fully enlightened one. I go to the Buddha as my refuge. I go to the Dhamma as my refuge. I go to the Sangha as my refuge. For the second time, I go to the Buddha as my refuge. For the second time, I go to the Dhamma as my refuge. For the second time, I go to the Sangha as my refuge. For the third time, I go to the Buddha as my refuge. For the third time, I go to the Dhamma as my refuge. For the third time, I go to the Sangha as my refuge. Taking refuge is complete now, and then Usually we say Saranagamanan Sampurnang, and then you say Ama Bhante, yes, Venerable Sir. So let's begin taking the 8 precepts. I will do the Pali first, and then we will come back and do the English. So when it comes to the difficult ones, that's printed on the other side, usually the ones that you are not familiar with, I will break them into pieces, and please continue to repeat after me. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinādāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Abrahmacharya veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Turn to the other side. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya majjapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Vikala bhojana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Nachcha gita vadita Visuka dassana Mala gandha vilepana Dharana mandana Vibhusanattana Veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Uccasayana mahasayana Veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Let's go back to the English ones. I will read the whole precept, and then you may as well read it after me. I undertake the role of training to refrain from killing any beings. I undertake the role of training to refrain from taking what is not given. I undertake the role of training to refrain from sexual conducts. I undertake the role of training to refrain from false speech. I undertake the role of training to refrain from drinks and drugs that fuddle the mind and reduce mindfulness. I undertake the role of training to refrain from taking food at improper times after midday. I undertake the rule of training to refrain from dancing, singing, music, shows, using garlands, perfumes, cosmetics, adornments, and ornaments. I undertake the role of training to refrain from using high and luxurious seats or beds. Excellent. So we will now keep it aside. You don't need it anymore. We will focus on offering the Buddha Puja, in which we chant together. You have already prepared the items that you want to offer to the Buddha, to the living qualities of the Buddha. And we do so out of gratitude, and special gratitude toward the Buddha is given as we are celebrating Vesak, which is about his birth, enlightenment, and passing away into Parinibbana. So, as you usually do, please join your palms together and recite the gathas with me out loud so we all can feel the way we express gratitude to the Buddha. Okay? You may as well close your eyes. So these are like basic ground rules. Just sitting calm and not disturbing anyone, and focusing on the instructions given. So let's begin by putting your palms together and chanting. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Itipiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vijjacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhamma sarathi saddha deva manussanang buddho bhagavati swakhato bhagavata dhammo sanditthiko akaliko ehi passiko ඕපනයිකෝ පච්චත්තං වේදිතබ්බෝ විඤ්ඤුහිති සුපටිපන්නෝ භගවතෝ සාවක සංඝෝ උජුපටිපන්නෝ භගවතෝ සාවක ඥාය පටිපන්නෝ භගවතෝ සාවක සංඝෝ සාමීචි පටිපන්නෝ භගවතෝ සාවක යතිදං චත්තාරි පුරිස යුගානි අට්ඨ පුරිස පුග්ගලා ඒස භගවතෝ සාවක සංඝෝ ආහුනේයෝ පාහුනේයෝ දක්ඛිනේයෝ අංජලි කරණීයෝ අනුත්තරං පුඤ්ඤක්ඛෙත්තං ලෝකස්සාති වන්දාමි චේතියං සබ්බං සබ්බඨානේසු පතිට්ඨිතං සාරීරික ධාතු මහා බෝධින් Buddha rupang sakalang sada Ghana sarapadittena dipena tamadhang sina Tiloka dipang sambuddhang pujayami tamunudang Vanna gandha gunopetang etang kusuma santating Pujayami munindassa siripada saroruhe Sugandhikaya vadanang ananta gunagandhina Sugandhinahang gandhena pujayami tathagatang Kayena vaca cittena pamadena maya katang Accayang kamami bhante Bhuri panya tathagata Kayena vaca cittena pamadena maya katang Accayang kamami dhamma sanditthika akalika Kayena vaca cittena pamadena maya katang Accayang kamami sangha supatipanna anuttara Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamo Satang samagamo hotu Yava nibbana pattiya Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so let's do some meditation. It keeps falling. So, find a comfortable posture. I am sitting in a chair, so it's very comfortable for me. If you need extra support, we have those seats that has back support for you. But if you are comfortable in this present seat, feel free to continue sitting. During the meditation, if you feel like changing your posture, you are free to do so. And when you do it mindfully. So your meditation is not interrupted, okay? And when you do so mindfully, you also sort of not make much noise. So you do it very quietly. As people are meditating and you don't want to disturb them. And you remain your eyes closed until you are told to open your eyes. And that way you can have a pleasant experience in your meditation. So this meditation is done so sincerely, also as an offering to yourself, and thus it is an offering, a gift to the Buddha. So when you make a gift to the Buddha, you make it proper, you make it as perfect as possible, and that way you get the maximum benefit of this meditation. All right, so time to start. Now, you can look at me just one more time, and then you may close your eyes like I have just done. And when your eyes are closed, make sure you keep them gently closed, not too pressing, just closed so that you are not seeing anything outside. And now take a deep breath in, and you can exhale. You can inhale and exhale. Feel your chest, feel your body. Make sure your back is now straight, not too forward, not too backward, just gently supporting your meditation, and your shoulders at ease. Your neck, your head, also a straight line, just like the Buddha statue right in front of you. Remember, when you feel any pain in your body, you gently change your posture, but stay with your meditation. Because you are only beginning when you are actually an experienced meditator. You can stay seated. The idea is not to move. But if you have any pain, I would instruct you to have loving kindness to your body. But if you can stay the sort of 20-25 minutes of meditation, I encourage you to sit still and without moving, without changing your posture. Now, as you inhale and exhale, feel your chest. And if you are still adjusting your body, do so very gently so nobody can hear. Very, very quietly. Excellent. Now, your body is grounded, deeply rooted with the earth. Release any tension, any tightness out into the space, to the earth. Abandon any regret, any remorse, any worries, anything you said or heard, any hurt, any past grudges, any future planning. Just be here and now. This meditation, this development of mind, cultivation of mindfulness will be beneficial for you in your school life, in your life forever. You are also learning how to meditate properly with a monk. Now come to natural inhaling and exhaling. Notice air going through your nostrils, so you are mindful about all the feelings involving your breath. And see the magic happens. I'll tell you what the magic is. Mindfully you breathe in, mindfully you breathe out. Mindfully you breathe in, mindfully you breathe out. Notice all the sensations of your breath. Every second, every moment. You are free to cough, you are free to blow your nose, so anything that is bothering you, so that you can forget it and come back to this meditation. Be kind to your body, you don't have to resist anything. Because what you resist persists. Now the magic is when your eyes are closed, you are not disturbed by any seeing. And you hear, but you ignore anything that is not beneficial to you. Smelling, you only smell maybe the fragrance of the incense that you offered. So nothing to investigate there. 3 things: seeing, hearing, smelling, and more. Tasting also is stopped. And physical sensations. The body gives you some sensations, some pleasant in this meditation, some painful because of the sitting posture. So what you will do is ignore these sensations and stay until they disappear. It's just a nerve pinch and it kind of vanishes. And what about the last one, thinking? The beauty of this meditation is that thinking also subsides. It slowly becomes about this meditation and not about anything that is bothering you. So allow your thinking to fade away. Allow it to be here and now with my instructions, and you will see your brain beginning to relax, and that way your whole nervous system beginning to relax. Your brain not sending any signal to investigate what you are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, physical sensations and thinking. Unless there is anything that is alarming, we don't have to pay attention to them. All you do now is to follow my instructions. And the simplest instruction is breathing in and breathing out, allowing your body to be, applying mindfulness to every in-breath and every out-breath. It's very private practice, very personal. Only you can notice your breath. Make sure your inhaling is shorter than exhaling. It's healthier for you. And you breathe in from your nose because nose has more filter and it's wonderful for your whole system. So I begin to mindfully breathe in and also go a step forward. When I breathe in long, I notice it. If my breath is short, I notice it. In 4 ways, inhaling and exhaling, long or short. Sometimes it's long breath, sometimes it's short breath. When you feel distracted, that your mind is wandering somewhere, come back to your breath. That's happening now. Your breath is not happening in the past, not happening in the future. So it's happening right now. Now the third step is to combine mindful breathing, long, short breath, with sensitivity to the body, experiencing how the body is affected by breath. You notice the shoulders, the whole body with your breath. Breathe in, long breath. Breathe out, long exhaling. Breathe in, long. Notice your shoulders. Breathe out, notice your shoulders shrinking. Come to the rhythm of this. Ignore any other thing but your breath. And notice how the breath becomes very subtle. However subtle it becomes, you notice it. You stay with your breath. Notice the calmness and make space for this calmness, tranquility to enter your body. Remember, be sincere as you are offering a gift to yourself and to the Buddha. Now we will radiate loving kindness to your body, to yourself, and to all beings. When I make a statement, you try to arouse the corresponding feeling so that you feel the loving kindness that you are radiating. And that way you are not pouring from an empty cup. You have loving kindness and you give loving kindness. Imagine these are true to yourself as I say this. I am sincere. I have healthy habits. I speak kind words that are true. I don't have thoughts of harming myself. I don't entertain the thoughts of harming anyone else. I don't steal from anyone or any place. I keep my emotions under control. I cope with my anger when it arises mindfully. I cope with it mindfully and let it go, abandon it. I am awakened in those aspects in my mind. And that way I follow the Buddhist middle path. With these pure conditions in my mind, I have the assurity that I am well, I am relaxed, I am comfortable in my mind and body. I am not abusive. I am not demanding. I am not egoistic. I am not selfish. I am kind and gentle with my looks, with my words, with my actions, with my behavior. I am totally harmless to anyone, any being whatsoever. With these qualities that I have cultivated, I go further cultivating generosity, cultivating more kindness and wisdom and compassion, cultivating more precepts and virtues in my life, learning to say no to drugs, learning to say no to anything that is harmful to my mindfulness. When I close a door, I am mindful. When I walk, I am mindful. When I hold anything, I am mindful. When I walk and talk, when I am silent, I am mindful. With these more qualities that I observe having, may I be well. May I be peaceful. May I be calm. May I be gentle and wise. May I am easily satisfied with few belongings. May I cherish good qualities, achievements of others. May I be grateful to my family, my home, people there, any extended family members. May all my family members be well. May all my family members be happy. May all my family members be peaceful and calm. May no one in my family hold a grudge against anyone. May I see love being shared freely in our household setting. May all beings in this Ohio state be well and happy. May all animals, all insects, all snakes, all beings be well and happy. May all beings in this entire United States be well and happy. Beings in water, beings in air, beings in earth, beings in every space, everywhere. Beings on this planet, in all the solar system and galaxies and entire universal systems, may all beings be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. beings be well and happy. And this way I don't have any enemies in my mind, no annoying people in my mind. I don't show any anger to anyone. Nobody can provoke my anger. Your mind may wander to noises that you hear, but then you quickly come to your meditation, which is come into your breath that is happening now. That is your discipline. Also, we will switch to observing this body in a slightly different way. This body has different elements: earth element, water element, heat element, air element. And imagine these elements being separated like disjoining parts of a car. And you are doing this as part of your meditation. Your bones separated, your skin, your flesh separated, and your blood in a different place. And when you see yourself distanced like that, as heaps of things, you may not call it you, it's just pieces of your body. And you can go further, like opening a bag of grains and noticing what is in there in that bag. Just like that, in your body you have teeth, hair, skin, a heart, brain, all the nerves, muscles, nails, your stomach, your lungs, kidneys, bones all over the body. Imagine a body that has experienced death, no consciousness there. It's going to rot and decay and become a skeleton, and eventually in that process being eaten by animals, abandoned and become dust and powder. So you may not call it you when it is just dust and powder. So when you reflect on your body like that, you may not call this body you, but you associate it, you look after it, you feed the right food, and you practice moderate eating. All these as meditative ways of keeping yourself, your mind healthy. And I'll explain these in my Dhamma talk. Now we will stay quietly. Anyone talking can be silent and observe. Now we can end this meditation by opening your eyes if you have been meditating, and say sadhu, sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, excellent. How was your meditation? Yeah? Was it good? Did you meditate? Are you telling the truth? Some of you, I know, try to meditate, but I admire your skill of staying here in this meditation. You are wonderful, okay? But let's be sincere. What problems you had in your meditation? What good experiences you had? What do you have as comments? How do you think we should improve? Do you have a comment?
Yeah, it was fun.
It was fine. Nice.
I mean
Fun? Mm-hmm. That's a good response. Yeah?
So I felt like calm and relaxed and like mindful and like relax my mind from like all the other stuff.
Perfect. She felt calm and relaxed and mindful. Also, you said from the other stuff, like you were able to focus, right? Excellent. And that's the beauty of meditation. Who has a meditation practice daily? Do you practice daily? How long? 5 minutes.
It's not exactly the same type of like, I just try to go away from like, the body or something like that.
Keep that going, okay? Every day. What time of the day do you meditate?
When I
When you get up, yeah. Next time you can add 5 more minutes, so it's 10 minutes, right? And if you get up and then wash your face and then sit not in your bed, okay? Somewhere else, where you prepare a meditation place, a designated meditation place, so you have energy there, asking you to come every day and meditate. So it becomes like a habitual, like eating habit. So you will see a lot of benefits of it. You'll be very proud when you increase the time of your meditation. Anyone else want to meditate daily? You want to meditate daily, right? Did you learn how to today? Yeah, we learned the breathing meditation, right? And if you had any peaceful calmness just by sitting the 25 minutes we did, imagine doing it regularly. I do it every day. And I feel like something is missing in me when I don't get to meditate. Why? Because calmness has become part of my experience every day. And I have observed that it has tremendous benefits, health benefits, also benefits of feeling mindful. Nobody can provoke me with anger, less talking, and spending quality time during the day, not sleeping during the day, but very fresh and energized. Right? So I have kept that as a practice for a long, long time. When I was a kid like you, I was meditating. Every day we chanted at family with my parents, and then we meditated. So that's how I learned to meditate. Eventually I became good at it. All right, so I want you to stand up so that you do a bit of stretching. You can kind of stretch and feel your body. You feel good? Nice. You can do any stretching like this. You can do more mindfully, bending like that, and then more like this. Feels so good. So you do this before walking, before studying, before sitting, in a chair too long. That way your blood circulation is very smooth. Your body is receptive to anything. Okay? Maybe you can turn your head like this gently. These are mindful movements. You can also do this. Beautiful. Beautiful. You feel good now? Okay. Now I can ask you to sit again so you feel relaxed. So I'm going to share some wisdom from the Buddha. Ready? Okay. What happens now? I like to begin it this way. There was a very little monk. Have you seen little monks? His teacher, very big teacher. So the little monk had so much respect to the teacher. And little monk wanted to do more things so that the teacher likes the little monk. You all feel that way when you are small, right? And this teacher told the little monk to go and get him something. And the little monk was so happy and excited. Because he was excited, he slammed the door behind him and ran to get it. Do you think it's right?
Yeah.
No. And the teacher, because it's not right, the teacher asked him to come again. Said, "My dear child, come back. Now close the door again." This time, the little monk closed the door very gently, mindfully, with full of his being. And the big monk, the teacher, did not have to remind him again. And the little monk became a big monk, very famous monk. Because he was mindful and he continued practicing mindfulness when he did anything. And he was visiting a Trappist monk's monastery. Trappist monk is a monk from another tradition. And this center is in Connecticut. You know where Connecticut is? Yes. This was years back. And he, now has become a big monk, right? Told this story to the Trappist monk. And the Trappist monk, when he heard the story, from the time the big monk was a small monk, he said, "I noticed, you are closing doors, you are doing things very mindfully, very gently. And I wondered where you learned this from. How do you close your doors at home?" It depends on your mood, right? Right. It depends on how much of a rush you feel, right? But does the door has anything to do with it? Right? If you take care of this door, do you think it's better? Obviously, right? Now the big monk went to France. That's where he lives. His name is Thich Nhat Hanh. You know him? He's a famous Buddhist teacher, right? And the Trappist monk gave a talk to his group, his listeners. And there was a German lady there in Connecticut. She went to France, to the big monk's place, only to see how this monk closed the door. You see, any small act you learn when you are a child, it has ripple effects. It goes from generation to generation, people to people. When you go to school, somebody introduces you something like vaping, and you immediately say no. Why? Obviously, your wisdom knows that it's bad for you. And I met a psychiatrist recently. We met at a conference. She is working with teenagers who are vaping, who have made it an addiction at school. And it's not only that addiction, they also have lost common sense that they flush down the plastics stuff when they use it for vaping down the toilet. If anyone had common sense, they would not do it, right? It blocks the toilets. So the government here tried to ban it, any production. But then somehow or the other, market and having access to money, they start using this. The kids try to sneak things. And the same thing happens with the use of these. What is this? An iPhone, right? What happens when you get addicted to it? You go to toilet, you need it. That's okay. You go to bed, you need it. But your lights are turned off and you are in complete darkness. Is it good for your eyes? Right. So when your heart tells you to do something, that's why in the US always says, follow your heart. But the Buddha says, take your brain with you when you follow your heart. If you had your brain when you use your cell phone, am I saying to stop using it? No. I'm saying take your brain. Never make it never make it something that interrupt your health. And then when you use it like this. What is happening to your back now? Yes? Right, your back posture gets crooked. Your spine gets crooked. This is true of any sitting posture you do. When you are studying on computer, you had a pandemic, and you had to use computers, electronics all the time. And if you are not mindful about your posture, you are going to walk like a seer. You know what seer means? Who's seer? Grandpa. Someone who's really old. And do you want to be like that early in your life? No. So when you follow your heart, you must take your brain with you. Okay? So mindful kids learn to always observe several things. Your posture, your environment, how healthy what you do, and how healthy what you talk, how healthy what you think. What happens if you always have angry thoughts? You are angry about yourself. Yes?
Projecting them to other people.
Perfect. You start projecting them to other people. And you angrily walk by, like I angrily walk by you and you think you have done something wrong. When in reality, you have nothing to do with it. It's just me mad. Right? It has nothing to do with you. So when someone is angry, do you want to own it? No. There's no point, right? It's not yours. When you are angry, do you want to give it to somebody else? No. It's like drinking poison and wanting somebody else to die. Anger is bad for you. If I am angry, can I smile now? No. Look, when you are not angry, you have a very pleasant face. Everybody loves you because you start to speak kind. When you are angry, can you speak kind? Right. You need to calm down. How can you do that? Yeah. Meditation. But do you meditate on anger? You can't. If you meditate on anything, it becomes bigger. Right? If you meditate on anxiety, what is anxiety? Any? Stress. Okay. So, you have to make a presentation. This is my experience. When I was going to school, I had to make presentations. I had to stand in front of the whole class or the whole school, and I was so anxious. But I didn't know why. Later, eventually, with experience, I learned I was anxious because it's a future event, right? Something yet to happen. It has not happened yet. Now, suppose like in the morning assembly at school, at 8 in the morning, I have to give a speech. It's a future event. So anxiety is about something about the future, right? Perfect. Now you get it. And I realized the positive aspect of it. The positive aspect, we all feel anxious. The positive side of it is that you feel anxious because you want to do better. Isn't it true? Right. How do you do better then? Do you worry about anxiety or do you prepare for the talk? Right. You prepare. And you write the first line that you are going to say. But you also kind of prepare the whole speech. This is how I am going to begin. This is how I prepare the middle. This is how I prepare the end. And I will make it timely. And I will be mindful of the time. I went in front of trees and gave my speech. Yeah. Nobody there around, and even if someone was there, it didn't matter. I gave the speech to the tree. And my anxiety gone. Because I knew what to. So anxiety also has something to do with not knowing how to do something. And when you build confidence, when your mind has been told that this is what you will do, and this is when you will start, this is what you will say, you will include the joke in it, or you will include the poem in it, you will start with something, some inspirational quote. Now you have full control of that event. And how much anxiety do you have? Very less, very little, right? Coping, you can cope better with your body's anxiety level. If it becomes too intense, then some people may feel that way because of some early childhood triggers, and I sympathize with it. In that case, you can get the help of tranquilizers with the help of medication. And I'm not a doctor to recommend anything, but there are help. So anything you want to achieve in your life, the Buddha says, on the other side of anxiety, on the other side of fear, on the other side of, anything, any obstacle that you feel, right? So when you know and think that way with wisdom, will you ever be defeated by your anxiety? No. And let's talk about depression. Now I said anxiety is about a future event, right? Depression is about a past event. Something that you couldn't achieve, something that you couldn't get. So you continuously think about it, repeatedly think about it. And when you are locked mentally in there, in that stage, you can't come out of it. You don't feel like walking out of the bed. You don't feel like, eating. You refuse. You feel like, you are in a mental prison. And this can happen to you. Can happen to any successful person because it doesn't have anything to do with money. It doesn't have anything to do with your achievements. It doesn't have anything to do with your family or anyone. It just happens. But can you see depression? You can't. People can be dancing, happy, but still be trapped in some place mentally. But when your hand is broken, you can obviously see it, right? That's why we need to respect people. You may not know what they are going through. If you are rude to them just because you can't tolerate them, you may not know why they are actually that way. That's why we need to be very kind. And I said, depressing feeling, anything to do with your mind, is a past event. When you think about the past, when do you actually think? You think about the past right now, right? So you bring anything from the past to the present. When you think about the future, when do you think about it? Also now. So the past and future exist right now. In other words, past and future do not exist. I'll tell you a story. Now, you have fear of going to a dentist. Someone may have a fear, right? They may feel, okay, dentist is going to put, instruments into my mouth and going to hurt me. So you are anxious. Anxiety is about the future, right? A future event. And tomorrow you are supposed to go to the dentist. And you say to the mommy, "Mommy, I hate you. I don't want to sleep in that same room with you. I don't want to go to that bed and you are going to hurt me. You are going to take me to the dentist. I don't like you. I'm going to sleep in the couch." Right? And the next day, mommy has to take you to the dentist anyway because she has an appointment. And when she goes, the dentist appointment has been cancelled. What happens to all that worries? It was just a waste of time, right? Do you think worrying about anything is useful? Like the previous example, when you had to give a presentation, instead of preparing for it, you worry and worry and worry and worry. Are you ready for the presentation now? No. You don't know what to present. But if you are prepared and you have organized your time, you have given the speech to the trees, you record it using your devices and you are ready. You go there fully confident. Even if you make a mistake, it's fine because 99% is not the mistake. 99, it's just the mistake is 1%. It's like building a brick wall. Just one brick is not right. All the 99 bricks are fine. So you look at the positive side of it. In your life, when you are a small kid, you make these mistakes. And I showed you this phone right here. These are called cell phones because prison cells are also our cells. You don't want to lock you in there. And you are texting to your group, your friends group, and your mom brings tea to you. And you say, "Mommy, you are so annoying, go away." What's happening? What's happening in your mind? Tell me. Yeah?
The phone's taking over your mind.
Can you speak louder, please?
The phone's taking over your mind and you don't want to do anything else.
Right. The phone is taking your mood, mind. It's kind of creating tension between you and your mom. You are attached to something, right? And if I sat here and started, answering calls instead of giving a Dhamma talk, will you like me? No, I'm not doing it properly. Right? And if your teacher comes to the lesson and instead of teaching you, they are on the phone, same thing. But if you as a student take your cell phone and secretly, checking things and not actually paying attention to the teacher, are you mindful there? Something not right. And this is called your intelligence is hijacked by mobile phones. Your intelligence is hijacked by electronics. Your intelligence can get hijacked by computer games. Your intelligence can get hijacked by anger, frustration, and you don't know what you are supposed to be doing and you don't know what you are not supposed to be doing. If your own intelligence, when the whole world, because I was talking about depression, right? When the whole world does not understand you and your own intelligence is not there to serve you, if your intelligence is not serving you, what's the use of intelligence, right? That's why the Buddha is the Buddha. His own intelligence revealed to him the full truth about his own world. Right? If I ask a question, a simple question, where do you live? What would be the answer? Yeah?
The earth.
The earth. Any other answers? Yes? Ohio. Yeah?
The city which you live in.
The city which you live in. Yeah?
The universe.
The universe. Yeah?
Mason.
Mason? What is that?
City.
A city? Okay, thank you. Yeah?
The U.S.
The US. Yeah, thank you. Yeah?
North America.
North America. Yes? Yeah? Here. Right. Very good. I like that. Yeah?
Like the street name.
The street name, yeah? More answers, please. Yeah?
Your house number.
Your house number, yeah?
Your neighborhood.
Your neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Yeah? You said house? Yeah? More?
The country.
The country, yeah?
The county.
The county. Mm-hmm.
The state.
The state. You have more answers?
Your zip code.
Your zip code? Yes, you?
Kentucky.
Kentucky? Do you live in Kentucky?
Yeah.
Okay. Wrong. All the answers are wrong. You live in your mind. Which is not limited. You can't say you live in a mansion. You can't say you live in a house. You can't say you live in Kentucky. You live in your mind. It's an unlimited area. You agree with me or not? Right? Nobody can tell what you are thinking. Even when you walk by neighborhood, you are living in your mind. That's why the Buddha said, mind is the forerunner. Forerunner. Mind, precedes everything. When the mind wants to look at something, mind looks at it with the help of your eyes. Otherwise, you may be staring at me, but thinking of your school. Do you see me at all? No, your eyes are looking at me, but your mind is somewhere else. This is why mind cultivation, mind training is the central, very much key in Buddhist teaching. When you are not looking at something, but hearing something, do you think your eyes are active? No. When you are not tasting something, do you think your tasting senses are active? No. So they are inactive. When the mind wants to taste something, it sends signals and uses the brain signals to, whatever it is, that it needs a facility in your body to experience it. In other words, mind creates an eye to see. This is just a different way, slightly unscientific way of saying it, but just look at it that way. Mind creates something. Okay, let's put it this way. When you think of your mom exists. Other times, she doesn't exist in your world. Isn't it true? In your world, she exists somewhere else, but you don't know what she's doing, right? She may be sleeping, she may be, sweeping, she may be talking, cooking, but only when you think of her, she exists. So, most of the things that you have been thinking exist only in your mental world. Most of the things are not true. You think your mom is angry with you when she is not angry. It's like that. Or maybe she is perpetually angry with you. Right? But that's how you see herself. But inside of her, she doesn't have the stain of anger. She's just showing something just to discipline you. You can ask her. But, how do you understand this philosophy? I'm still trying to get to depression, but trying to show you, your mind is creating an eye to see, your mind is creating an ear to hear. But if your mind stopped at seeing only, what happens? You only start seeing. There's no ending to seeing. You will never hear anything. So between seeing and hearing, there was stopping of seeing and you switched to hearing. Did you see the cessation of seeing when you switched to hearing? You can't see. That's why the Dhamma eye is important. Dhamma eye tells that seeing is not permanent. You see, you are conscious on something and it vanishes. You are conscious on something you hear and it vanishes. You are conscious on something that you smell and it vanishes. And it happens in such a millisecond, in such a fast moment. It's like a flickering light bulb. Do you see? You see only the light, but when you know science, you know that it has burning and igniting that happens so fast that you don't even see. It's like a TV, watching TV. Millions of frames coming to the surface and you can't see because your eye cannot see it. This is why wisdom cultivation is important. When you have that wisdom, the best tool is the wisdom. The Buddha says, wisdom kids, Buddhist kids have wisdom. And now we can unwrap depression. Anything about the past, you bring it to the present and start thinking of it. It's not true. Some mistake you did, like you failed at an exam and you think you are a failure. Who created that thinking? You. And you know it's not true. And the Buddha's wisdom says, it's your own mind fooling you. You don't have to label yourself this way. You don't have to compare yourself with anyone. You don't have to compare yourself, you don't even have to say, I am better, I am similar, or I am, not good, inferior. Why? It's all made in your mind. Do you get it? Okay. So when you are able to use your intelligence, your wisdom this way, will you ever believe everything that your mind tells you? No. You make your mind a peaceful place. If regrets are being built in the mind home, if anger is boiling in the kettle of the mind home, right? If there is dirty words under the carpets of your mind home, you don't live in peace. You live in pieces. Do you get the idea of living in pieces? Right. You do. When you have a home that is broken, it's in pieces. What do we have to do then? Respect disciplining someone disciplining you, teachers disciplining you, monks disciplining you, parents disciplining you. Listen to that. They will say stories like, I came to United States to give you a good life. They always say that. This is not how I went to school. I went to school walking 5 miles every day and crossing the flood. And that's true. That's how I went to school too. But they also are trying to tell you, like, don't be too spoiled. Don't be a prisoner of cell phones. When I grew up, I did not have this. I did not have a TV, so I was not distracted. My parents did not speak any English. Nobody in my neighborhood spoke any English. I had to learn it. Not like you. You speak English from birth. Most of you. Not birth, but few months into birth. Don't take it literally. But you now speak English. In your age, I did not know how to speak English. So I started learning it like in the university age. And eventually, where I ended up studying? I ended up studying at Harvard. Did you know that? You didn't? You did, right? Yeah. So how did I do that? Continuous wisdom cultivation, not being trapped in these devices. Only using them for your improvements. I'm humble to say that. It's just possible. Anything is possible when you are not addicted to... depression is also a type of addiction, I would say, in Buddhist language. It's like you are trying to get trapped in a place that doesn't even exist. This is why wisdom from the Buddha tells you, don't stay in any extreme, come to the middle ground. And you come to me and say, Bhante, I always have sugar eating addiction. Some people may have ice cream addiction, also screen addiction, or addiction to something, whatever it is. And then I say, I can't help you unless you come to the middle ground. What is the middle ground? Yes?
Not having too much or too little of something.
Absolutely. Not having too much or too little. When the Buddha was practicing meditation, his friends were saying, don't eat. Stop eating. And that will be your liberation. Give suffering to the body. Do you think it's possible? No. He almost collapsed without food. And he realized, no, this is an extreme path. But those days, they believed that when you cut down food and give torture to the body, you can attain moksha. And if you die like that, your death was praised, saying he attained moksha. But this is completely not true. And those days, you take a walk and it starts snowing and you don't have your jackets, you stop right there, wait until the snow stops. You're going to die, right? But then your friends say, oh, he attained liberation from all suffering by enduring that pain. But that's not true. And then the Buddha cultivated, middle path. In the middle path, what is the second aspect of the middle path? Can you speak up, please?
Not having too much of something, but too much of it for
Middle path in general is not having too much of, but eightfold path, do you remember the eightfold path that you have learned? Arya Ashtanga Marga. Right view, right thoughts, right speech, right actions, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. How many are there? 8. Let's get to the second one, right thoughts. This is what the Buddha realized. If you have angry thoughts, I said earlier too, who's going to suffer? You. And by removing anger, you are free from that suffering, right? But if you have an attachment, who is going to suffer? You, not your mom, right? You, because it's your life you are building, not your mom's life, not your dad's life. So who's going to suffer? You. By removing that, you are going to live an easy life. And if you have harmful thoughts toward yourself or others, who's going to suffer? You. By removing that, you are going to have a life free from suffering. And the Buddha never said life is suffering. That's the wrong way to speak about Buddhism. When you speak about Dhamma to your, friends, you say, there is suffering when you are angry. There is suffering with attachments. But by letting go, there is also happiness and there is ultimate happiness. That's what the Buddha spoke about. Now, when you know that, you can never misrepresent Buddhism, right? You can say, there is happiness and there is ultimate happiness. What is the ultimate happiness? Attaining Nibbana. Is it a place that you can go to? No. Is it a thing? No. Right here, right in your mind, any poison removed, you are at Nibbana. Right? That's why you need to feed your body properly, develop healthy habits, exercise regularly, be mindful of your posture, right? I was speaking about the posture earlier. In Illinois, there is a friend's daughter. She was using her computer like this all the time, and she has an addiction to watch other people playing computer games. And now she has to go to hospital to correct her spine. It's crooked. This happened. And this was because not paying attention to the body. Now you have iPads, all the electronics, use them for your benefit. Limit, the time. Overconsumption of anything can be harmful to you. Even if you ate too much of rice, it's not beneficial to you, right? It gives you sugar, too much feeding of anything. That's why the Buddha's teachings teach you the middle path, abandoning any extreme. Extreme luxury, not good. Extreme anything, not good. Come to the middle ground and let your own intelligence serve yourself, right? If I had an exam and I worry about it, I'm anxious about it, am I going to pass the exam?
Of course not.
Of course not. Why? You are too busy worrying. Now, when you talk about anxiety, depression, and worry, you have wisdom from the Buddha to detach from it. It's not yours. Is it yours? These feelings are not yours. They come and go. Right? Heart palpitations, worry, they come and go. But if you want to label it as yours, even these devices, these don't stay yours forever. They just get destroyed and you move on. It's like that. These feelings, pleasant or unpleasant, they come and go. They are not yours. That's the Buddha's wisdom. Fear, it vanishes. Someone has fear of heights and you avoid going to high places. Then that fear is no more, right? Abstinence. Who told you? Your own wisdom told you. Right? Someone has fear of snakes. You avoid going to those places. Some people have, phobias of different phobias. You avoid those places. And then you can easily concentrate on the work ahead of you. Right? This is avoidance, using your intelligence to serve you. If your own intelligence is not serving you, who is it going to serve? It must serve you first. That's why you are a Buddha's kid, a Buddhist kid, Bauddha Lamya, Buddhist child. A Buddhist has intelligence. If you do anything not intelligent, such as, your intelligence is hijacked by hormones, electronics, or computer games, or emotions like anger, frustration, you are not a Buddhist kid. You are not learning to even practice the middle path. You have not improved with the learnings from the monks. You have not improved from the Dhamma. It's like catching a snake from a tail. It's going to bite you. That's why when you learn the Dhamma, you learn it from the proper angle, proper way, proper access to it, in such a way that it helps you before it helps anyone else. That's why cultivating your mind, practicing meditation, speaking kind words, letting go of any foul language like F word and all of that is not yours. Let go of them. Words you speak tells your character. That shapes up your future. And if you learn it from right here, from this program today, anything you learn. I used to have a habit of writing down the things I learned, so they shape up my future. They were so beneficial. I go back to them when I forget, when I feel lazy. And I then focus again and continue my life as best as I could. Very harmless to me, very harmless to anyone else. And this way, suicidal thoughts, depressive thoughts, anxiety thoughts, fearful thoughts, all of these are visitors and they just go away. You just need to give time, right? It's like you don't need to water dead plants in your mind. Depression is a dead plant. Just don't water it. Just don't feed it. Just come out. Enjoy the water. Have a purpose. Build your own empire in your life. Have a purpose. Have a goal. That way, your intelligence is there no matter what you lose or what you gain. You are happy. You are content. Good? Okay, let's stop there. We will do the Buddha Puja next, right? Is it ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Almost everything. For Buddha Puja, after Buddha Puja, you're going to Dhamma and they are going to Dhamma. So
Yeah.
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 I think it actually begins from.
Yeah, yeah.
Some guidance to.
I will give instructions immediately after the Buddha Puja. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Shall we? If I get angry and if I may protest against these stones somewhere, that's not Buddhism. Buddhism is not in those stones. And if you get angry and yell at anyone, you are actually not Buddhist. You are not getting the message of Buddhism. You are trying to protect a bunch of stones and you don't see Buddhism in there. Of course, those are valuable monuments, that's true. But, there's no way we can stop such thing as terrorism. Terrorism is terrorism. Doesn't matter. It doesn't belong to any religion. And then another time, Ajahn Brahm, I have been his translator, and one time he was asked this question, you as a Buddhist leader, what is your response when someone does something to a Buddhist book? This is also about tolerance. It's a very nice question you asked. And he, at that time, somebody has flushed down a Quran into a toilet, which is a very bad thing to do. But then this monk said, if somebody flushed down Dhammapada is a Buddhist book, handbook of Buddhists. The first thing he will do is to call a plumber. Why? Just to fix the toilet. There's no need to fight about it. There's no need to argue about it. There's no need to fire anger in a whole city, in a country about it. Once that has been fixed, then if anyone tried to damage the message of the Buddha, saying wrong things about the teachings, then monks can say, no, that's not what the Buddha said. It doesn't sound right based on what they have understood and what they have learned. So that is the kind of tolerance that we should all have. And you as Sri Lankan American kids living here have friends from all over, all the faith traditions. It doesn't matter where you happen to be, mostly Christian. And they have their own beautiful practices. And we should actually learn from them, respect them, while also being willing to explain when they ask, why you are a Buddhist, you will say, I'm a Buddhist because of this. But when they ask, what do you believe in Buddhism, you say it's the wrong question. We don't believe anything. Believing is not part of Buddhism. We practice it and we learn it because Dhamma is immediately effective. I'm not sure if you all get it, but what you practice, like the meditation you did, is immediately effective right here, right now. Right? You feel calm right now. And that's when it's experience driven, you accept it as something that is working for you. When you know it that way, you don't say, God gave you calmness. It's you who manifested it, right? Through meditation. So that language disappears in Buddhist world. But at the same time, when you explain things, it's rather better not to explain things, in detail, trying to convince anyone of your faith. Rather, saying, since you are asking, Buddhist belief, so you have to use the conventional words, belief again. Buddhists practice the middle path, abandoning the extremes. And in that middle path, right view to right concentration is practiced. It has to be developed. Developing that and completion of it is your enlightenment. Thereby abandoning any ignorance and any wrong views and dukkha, any suffering. What is dukkha? What is suffering? Yeah?
Suffering is feeling really bad because of something that we did to yourself.
Because of something someone did. Yeah, you feel bad about that kind of a situation. But I said earlier, when you have anger, you have suffering, right? Obvious, right? When you have harmful thoughts toward yourself or someone else, you have suffering, right? And when you have addictions, you have suffering. So to overcome those, you remove them. So easiest way to remember what suffering is, something difficult to bear. That is dukkha, suffering. Right? When it is suffering, when it's painful, it's difficult to bear. When something is easy to bear, what do we call it? We call it easy to bear, or else in Pali we say sukha. Sukha. That is the opposite of dukkha. Get it? Sukha. If you have a pet dog, you can name it Sukha. Because you love it, right? So you bear Sukha in your heart. So Sukha is with you. My friend's dog is named after Sukha. You have a question?
Yeah. So how would you improve mindfulness other than meditation?
Only with meditation?
Other than meditation.
Other than meditation, yeah. Mindfulness has to be improved in 4 ways. Mindfulness of your body. This includes all the activities you do. When you do them, I think now with the discussion in the morning, you have a better understanding of where you live. Where do we live? In your minds, right? So when you do all those activities, say you are driving, your mind can do hundreds of other things. So mindfulness is actually about what your mind is doing when you are doing all these other things, and trying to bring it to the present activity that you are doing. So your dad maybe lost his keys and he's looking for them. And you will say, see, you don't have mindfulness. Right? That's forgetfulness. It can happen to anyone. It can happen to monks, Monks can give a whole talk about mindfulness and forget something here. Because it's just somebody distracted him, somebody asked a question and he just didn't pay attention to. So that should not be mistaken with mindfulness. Mindfulness is focused on awakening. It's an awakening factor. It's a bojjhanga. Right? So you can do things. You can cut vegetables while being angry also. You can also cut vegetables with love. You can tell the difference. When your mom is cutting vegetables angrily, you can tell. When someone is cleaning the house, you can tell if they are angry or if they are peaceful, right? You don't want to go near. The broom will come flying to you. So, anyway, mindfulness is knowing that these things are happening in your mind and not owning them. Anger, for example, it's not your anger. When something is born, it has to live for a certain time. And then it dies. So anger is something like that. It just has to be given that time and space for it to disappear. If you try to resist it, it's only intensifying it. You can't think at the time. Anger is actually a moment where you have hundreds of thoughts that you want to say. Right? Too many thoughts. And they all want to be told. Especially to a person who don't pay attention to what you are saying. And it intensifies your anger. So this monk was walking by a river and he saw two groups of people yelling at each other. You are wrong. I'm right. That's how people yell, right? And the monk stopped and turned toward his students and asked, why are they yelling at each other? What's the answer? Why they are yelling at each other? They are angry, right? But the monk said a funny thing, very bizarre thing. Said, see, these people are next to each other. Why do they have to yell? When you are angry, you feel like the heart of the other person is too far away from you. Right? But when you love each other, without them talking, you know what they are thinking. They sit next to each other or they live far away, but they have a connection. So thoughts are one thing, words are another. So they have that distance. Sometimes you yell at someone and they forget their way back to your heart. That's why you should not yell at someone. That's why you should never curse at someone. Or you may have, but you never had the intention to make it a curse. So forgive yourself for those moments. Don't hold them as against you. And then move on. But moving on also means, correcting your path. So mindfulness comes knowing what your mind is doing in those moments. Mindfulness also has to be practiced with your feelings. Sometimes pleasant feelings arise and we have a tendency to be attached to them, and also unpleasant feelings, pushing them away. And that is craving. Liking something and disliking another. That's craving. Knowing that tendency is, another way to practice mindfulness. So it is a continuous practice. It's not that you do body mindfulness and then do feelings. It's just that feelings can happen while you are doing body mindfulness. So you just need to pay attention to what is present. Like anxiety. We now know that it's not ours, it's just a future event that's yet to happen, and putting that aside and focusing on preparation, that will put that anxiety away, and you have learned it by mindfulness practice. And mindfulness also should be practiced about your thoughts. How you are mentally thinking of someone is different from what you are actually wanting to say to them. Right? Privately and publicly, you have loving kindness toward your friends. That's so easy for you. Even if they try to manipulate you, you know it's not true. Truth has power. People do try to do silly things and they say, that person said this person said it, and you are not affected by it. It happens. We are social beings and we get into these circumstances. Anyway, so mindfulness, the last thing is the most difficult thing. The first one is body mindfulness, the second one is feelings, third is your thoughts, angry thoughts, attachment thoughts, you get rid of them. These are just basics. And this last one talks about sloth and torpor, doubting, hindrances, all of that, and paying attention to them and overcoming them, knowing that they are not present, knowing that they arise when conditions are there. Everything understood based on the nature, based on how things arise and pass away. So that's mindfulness. But in the West, mindfulness is taken out of Buddhism and commercialized. Right? Everybody says mindfulness-based stress reduction, mindfulness-based therapy. It's just only one thing in the Eightfold Path, only the seventh thing. They miss 6 other things by just taking one. So we need to have that awareness as Buddhists, those who have access to everything. That's all about mindfulness. I see more hands up, so.
Why do we compare ourselves to other people and how do we stop doing that?
Yeah, very good question. How do we stop comparing ourselves to other people? The Buddha said, Sayamana, Hinamana, Sadisamana. Anything is these 3 things are. Sayamana is, you are greater than someone, right? Sadisamana is you are equal to someone. Oh, I'm like him, I'm like her. I have a hair, that person also has hair, so we are similar. And Hinamana is inferiority, feeling inferior about someone. And the Buddha said, you become low or high depending on what you do. If you are stealing constantly and you can't stop it everywhere you go, everybody thinks that their items are not safe around you because you have a habit of stealing. And they come to find their pen, it has been stolen. So in Sri Lankan office places, they write the second precept on the pen. Adinna dana veramani sikkhapadam samagya. So nobody can steal it. Now it is written there. So if you are stealing, your popularity is that you are a thief, a robber, burglar, someone who is not welcome. And that makes you a low person, right? And even if you tell the truth, because you are a liar, you may be telling the truth in the hardest place, like most emergency situation, but nobody believes you. Why? Because you have told many lies before. And that makes you a low person. It's like that. So, how do we stop? So, wisdom stops you from comparing yourself to other people. All the things that happen to you happen to other people too. Wisdom. Maturity. Takes time. Oh my goodness. I have taken 35 years, I'm 35 now, to understand certain things about life. So, give yourself time. Somebody may be faster than you or not so faster than you, but it doesn't matter. It's not everything about life. Maintaining your good health and your mental attitude toward anything That's more precious. The Buddha says, the best wealth is your happiness, contentment. Santutti paramang dhana. And the Buddha said, arogya paramalava. You can have so much wealth, but if you don't have good health, you are not going to enjoy any of that wealth. So in the United States, some people have millions of dollars, but they are just limited to the bathroom and their bed. What is connecting them between the bathroom and their bed is just an oxygen supply. They have big houses. Can they enjoy it? Because they ignored the most precious thing they have, their own good health. People sacrifice health to earn wealth, and then they sacrifice wealth to re-earn the health. Can you believe how that can happen? People sacrifice their health to earn wealth, and then they sacrifice their wealth to regain that health. That's the way people live. I walk 5 miles every day in the afternoon. I did that yesterday with Nayaka Hamburu. I do it in Boston, 5 miles, 10,000 steps. And then I do upper body exercise. And I limit my food intake. I know if I don't do that, I will be overweight, I'll have pain here, pain there, I'll have blood sugar up and all those problems. And also I meditate. Some days I meditate 6 hours on different stages. And the whole day for me is meditation, because wisdom cultivation happens throughout the day in between those hours when you do not meditate. And I have an easy life because of that. Who created it? I did. Nobody gave me that life. That kind of life. I can also lead this toward misery. Running after, asking for the moon, moon come to my room and stay with me. That's impossible to happen. Your expectations are here and your reality is this. You see the gap between gap between expectation and reality? This is also related to that question actually. What do you need to do then? Bring the gap thinner and you are in reality. Isn't it so simple? How do we get to reality? Mindfulness. Not comparing. No need to compare. It's just ruminating. Thinking about things that are unproductive in your life. You have a question? Did I answer your question, by the way? Thank you.
Why do we have some celebrations on Saturday?
Why do you have some celebrations on Saturdays? We actually have celebrations on every day, but not here. In Sri Lanka they do. But here we have weekends off for people. That's why they do celebrate things on weekends. Other days you have to go to work. Get it? Yes.
So I've heard that how much you meditate, how much you find yourself being able to go into reality. You can do crazy stuff and it might not be true or kind of move stuff with your mind.
Actually, that's another expectation, right? Wanting to move stuff from your body when your body is perfectly moving. So at one time, the Buddha was crossing a river, and then there were a bunch of other monks from a different tradition, and they just disappeared from this side and appeared on the other side. And they wanted to show it to everybody that they have psychic powers. You know psychic powers, right? And someone being able to do extra-human, like superhuman things. And then the Buddha asked his monks, Buddha was able to do it, of course, and those monks are also able to do it, but instead of doing that, because the Buddha's intention is not to show off, how much does the person who crosses you from this side to the other side. There is a ferry, and this person takes about 2 pennies when somebody wants to cross the river. So how much is the psychic powers worth? Just 2 pennies, right? Why do we have to show it to anyone? Unless when there is a ferry, don't you see the bridge over there? Why don't you just walk over? It's not for the purpose of moving things or anything. It's just not for miracles, actually. The Buddha said, don't use them. Just Dhamma is a miracle. Knowing Dhamma, knowing how to live properly is a miracle. Only when you do something bad, you suffer. Simple as that. That's a miracle. Some people forget that. They lose ability to control themselves. People lose control. I know a family whose son is very smart, but because of cocaine abuse, he doesn't have control. Cocaine abuse is severe, bad. What a smart kid he used to be. But now he just can't control himself. Going back, because he has abused the precious body, the smartness, intelligence he received. That's why I told you, keep 5 precepts. It's just like 5 things in a vehicle. If you don't have a steering wheel, you can't go anywhere. If you don't have the first precept, your life is going to get killed someday because you are a killer. That's why killing games. Someday you want to act upon these things that you have killed. Like some people get weapons for real, and they want to kill in real life also. That's because not seeing the real life versus the electronic life, the life on a computer screen. The mind can't tell the difference. Right? The moment you start thinking about something, it becomes your reality. Like you may not have lemon right here, but how does lemon feel like? You can think about it and start feeling it right here. Just like that. Anything your brain experiences, the brain doesn't know. That's why wisdom is needed for kids. That's why Buddhist kids have to have wisdom all the time. So it's not for moving things that we have any meditation we do. People do those, but those like Devadatta, he was able to have psychic powers, but he did all the bad things afterwards. Didn't help him. Vegetarianism is the same thing. Devadatta was a vegetarian. Hitler was a vegetarian. But look how much disaster, how much damage they did to humanity. Still, the effects of it there. Just not what you put into your mouth. It's how you live your life, how you associate it. You can't hate someone for eating whatever they eat. Feed them. It's kindness. But if they do murderous things, they can be a vegetarian. They can be a non-vegetarian. Doesn't matter. It's not what you have love for animals, but you are not a killer. You don't go out there killing. You just feed your body and maintain your body. If the Buddha made all the monks vegetarian, this is not because I want meat or anything. The Buddha made all the monks vegetarian. The Buddha refused it because in some countries, when you go to rural areas, monks have to depend on alms round, and people may offer non-veg foods. Are you going to stay hungry the whole day? And next day you get non-veg foods. Are you going to stay hungry? You're going to die, right? You may not. You may have to survive. That's why, out of compassion, the Buddha said, it's not what you put into your mouth, actually. It's how you associate the world, how you live in this world. That's what matters. You have a question?
Yeah. So in school I was learning about different types of Buddhism, like Mahayana and Theravada.
Yeah.
How are they different?
Okay, so we have His Holiness Dalai Lama. He belongs to Vajrayana. That's one type. And then Mahayana there's greater vehicle. That's the meaning of it. Theravada is also called Hinayana because it's lesser vehicle. Just imagine just being a vehicle that is not great. And how could that be? We, in the history, in the past, distinctions came because of historic developments. How they happened is like this. When the Buddha passed away, many monks wanted to break rules. That's natural. And that is a huge number of monks. They all said, join our order and we will mend and, break rules the way we want and keep it the way we want. They just were not interested in practice. It's the same thing today too, like many are not interested in practice, only few are. Those days it was same. And others who joined the councils, the first council, second council, third council, only enlightened monks were chosen for those because they can make right decisions about the future of the teachings. Because they were minority, they were condemned by the majority. That's what usually happens. So majority is Mahayana. Whatever was a small number became the Hinayana, lesser vehicle. And this, the majority said, they are arahants, they are enlightened, but that's not the end. They should be Buddhas. Then only they can be completely free. So they wrote sutras like Saddharma Pundarika Sutra, Lotus Sutra, if you ever studied it. Vajra, there's another, so many sutras, Diamond Sutra. All these sutras were written to say that arahants have not completed their journey. They have to become Buddhas. And in order to become a Buddha, you become a compassionate person, you start helping everyone. So everyone is a bodhisattva, everyone can become Buddha. That's what they started preaching, because it's easy to say that. Not easy to practice meditation and become an arahant. They didn't want to practice that. So that's how the division started. But now it's not that way. It started from breaking from the main lineage, somehow with all the clashes that were happening. And geographically they spread. Mahayana is now spread in Korea, Japan, China, and Vietnam. So geographically, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, these countries have Theravada. India doesn't have any of it. Now it's coming back and Buddhism is becoming globalized. One teacher, many traditions, because everyone has access to internet, people travel, people teach. And Americans have what they call the pressure cooker approach. They only use meditation for everything. Meditation alone does not teach how to bow to a monk. That comes from Sri Lanka. How to offer a proper meal to a monk. That comes from culture, Sri Lanka. So these understandings, these developments have happened, different movements come, like Vipassana movement and all that. But I think for you, the simplest difference is, I think I went too far explaining it. The simplest difference is, Mahayanists believe that they all should aspire to become Buddhas, but we, Theravada monks, believe that you don't have to wait until you become a Buddha. You can practice right here, right now, in this very life, and become enlightened. Remove suffering. So, based on geographical locations, divisions came, but we should never condemn them within our own Buddhist traditions. Some of the things we Theravada monks used to have were lost. And now the other traditions, Mahayana traditions, have it. Like meditation for 6 months in a cave. This is like isolation, complete isolation. You don't see anybody. These things are there. And also experiencing death as a form of meditation. We don't have it, but they do. Like, in order to qualify as a teacher, you experience In meditation, you experience what death is like. Not imagining it, but dying. But separating your body from your consciousness. And you have full control in those things. Don't ever try to do these things. These are done under teachers and guidance. So that qualifies you to become a teacher, a good one. So that's why we should actually learn from each other and appreciate their existence. And right now I'm translating a book called One Teacher, Many Tradition from Dalai Lama and a bhikshuni called Thupten Chodron. So I only have done about 20 pages so far. It's a big book. And books like that are coming out and teaching people that we have differences, but we also need to appreciate our similarities and see what we will make of it. Okay? Yeah. Yes, your hand up? No. Whose hand was first up? I wasn't paying. Yeah, yours? Yeah. Go.
When you die, you get reborn. When did it begin?
You die, you get reborn. When does it begin? When does it begin? It became, yeah?
Like, when you're like first born.
Oh. It's hard to tell. I did a study on that too, actually, but it's just too deep for you. The moment you die, you are reborn in a certain place. And it can be a heavenly rebirth, it can be animal, it can be human. But as a human, a fetus takes time to mature, to become a full being, and they stay close to 10 months, and then they are ready to be born. So in between 10, those day 1 to 9th and half, whatever the day, entrance of a being can happen, and nobody can tell when that exactly happens. But without consciousness, there's no way that a being fully alive can be born. And the same way, hands and everything grows because it's a human birth, and that human conditions are there. So it just happens in the next moment. And you may be born in a place like a ghost. That's why we should do good things like meditation, giving, practicing virtues like precepts. And by doing that, you avoid hungry ghost realms. They have a very little mouth, like a seed of a very little seed, like a mung bean, but they have a big belly, like as big as this room. No matter what food they eat, no matter what food they see, they can't eat it because they have a tiny mouth. So they are perpetually hungry. Do you want to be one like that? No. So practice giving. Give everything you have to me. Do you have more questions? Do you? Yeah?
So in Buddhism, we believe in rebirth. So like we can go through cycles of rebirth until we attain divine. So then how does like a fire work? Like how Christians believe in like heaven and hell, but we have like a fire and I forget what the other one is called. But how does that work if we reborn?
Yeah, you are reborn also in apaya. You are reborn also in apaya. You are reborn in heaven. It can be any place. So it's a good thing about Christianity that everybody is forgiven, their sin forgiven, and they are told that they will go to heaven. It's good if you can purify your mind and keep that way when you die. So you are in a heavenly state of mind. But it takes a lot of lifetime. It takes how you have lived. Like simplest ways, like if you have lived a life that is of greed, I'm sure you are having things that you can't let go at the time you die. So kind of the life they develop might be after death might be a place that is miserable. So it does happen also the same way in Buddhism. Like it's just a natural way that depending on how you have lived, you are going to be born in any of those. Whether you are a Buddhist or not, you are going to be born in those places. Okay. So apaya and hell are same things, and in Buddha's wisdom, he has revealed that there are several places, several apaya places, fire and water only places, and thorny places, and it all depends on how much bad karma you have earned and how much good karma you have earned. So depending on that, the length of time you will stay is decided by nature. That's that. Yeah. We are coming closer to the ending of it, of this session. I was going to do a quiz, but I don't think we have the time for it, because your parents must be waiting to take you home. Yeah, I'll take more questions.
Even you please take a little bit of time.
Yeah, okay. I'll try to do that.
There are some questions.
Yes, more questions. Yeah, I'm so happy you're asking questions.
So, when will Maitri Buddha be born, and when he goes to Nibbana, what will happen to the world? Because isn't he the last Buddha to be born in this age?
Well, when the Maitri Buddha is born, even though he is the last Buddha, he is the last Buddha for this eon. But the continuity of the universe happens. If you have some understanding about expansion and also contraction of the universe, it takes millions and billions of years. So when the Maitri Buddha is born, it's only that eon ends, but another eon starts. An eon is a super long period of time. Yeah, thank you for being with us today. Let me finish answering your question. So, if you read Buddhist Genesis, that's Aganya Sutta, you have teachings of how something similar to Big Bang Theory, something like that happening, and then the universe coming into place. But it takes millions of years before the sun and moon appear. All the circumstances, appear, and that way, like you see new bugs every now and then. Like who created them? It's just natural conditions. Like butterflies have different colors so that they can hide in the flowers. Nobody can spot them. So they all have this camouflage effect. They can hide and save their lives. So these things happen because of the natural condition. Like your vision will be great if you live in a dark place for a long time. You will be able to see things in darkness, just like that. It's just the way nature works. So, or you may as well go blind without having any light because of the way you are. You may be more sensitive though to the environment because your other senses start to become active. So it takes that long time. Even after Maitreya Buddha, there will be another eon, and there will be continuity, and there will be more galaxies, more births happening.
So the world won't end?
No. The world that we know of will end, but there will be another something that is continuing. Yeah. Yes?
So I just wanted to know what those symbols represent in the wall, that the spiral and the leaves.
Different, what spirals did you see?
Those purple, blue.
those are parts of Cambodian Buddhist culture. So they have ways of labeling their arahants, 80 great disciples of the Buddha. So I'm not sure if they are representing those. Like if you go to a temple in China, you see all the 80 in statues. So big temples. You must actually visit China, like Donghuan Caves in China, in Hubei province. You should someday visit and see these in your own eyes. You will see. That's why we should, different Buddhist traditions, like our symbol is Dharma Chakra. Have you seen a Dharma Chakra? Like a wheel, like a pendant that you wear, or on Ashokan pillars you have that. So that's representing the eightfold path. It has 8 pieces around the circle. So that's not 8 precepts, eightfold path. That is from middle path, right view to right concentration. Between those, do you remember I was telling you those? Like, study the Noble Eightfold Path, if you can remember it. Or study the middle path in Buddhism. Once you Google it, you will get it. That 8 represents Dhamma wheel, setting it in motion. Yes? Any more? Yeah.
How old are you?
Didn't I say my age? You are not listening. Yes. I'm very old.
Not too old.
Very old. Like 200 years old. Yes.
Is there only 8 precepts in like the whole world, or is there more?
There are 8 precepts. Did you say precepts?
Yeah, is there only 8 precepts in like the whole world, or are there like more?
We have 10 precepts and monks have 227. Do you want to become a nun and practice all those? So it depends, it's not limiting to 8. It depends on the way you want to practice. Okay? Yeah. Anyway, I think we don't have time for the quiz. We will do it another time. Yeah. So let's end the program. Do you want to end it? Do you want to keep your 8 precepts till the next day? That's supposed to be done that way actually. That you keep your 8 precepts until the next day. Okay. If you want to do it, don't take 5 precepts now. Okay? Please say Namo Tassa 3 times so that you receive 5 precepts. Only if you want 5.